Hello, friends. I actually wrote two structure plans for this video, and I'm not using either of them because I want to be really real with you, and because planning too much and giving myself more work than I really need is part of the problem that I want to address. I struggle a bit with both a spiritual ego as well as kind of the ancestor ego to my spiritual ego, which is what I call my Übermensch complex. And I just like to talk a little bit about that and how that leads into where I am now, what's happening behind the scenes with Yoga Church and where Yoga Church is going. Not exactly where it's going, but yeah, we can talk a bit about that too. So, my personality, when I look back, is very much structured. And when I mean personality, I mean my self-conscious personality, my ego, not my actual true personality that's underlying all these different masks and functions. So my persona, my ego, is very much based around lack of safety that I had as a child that led me to just leave my body because it was not a safe place to be around, a lot of neurosis and forced contact. I'm being a little bit vague here. Let me make it more specific. My first memory is from the age of 2.5, which is me having hurt myself somehow. My mother picking up on that, getting incredibly agitated over it, panicking, and rushing over to hold me and constrict me against her, kind of effectively pushing her amplified fear into me and being completely unaware that this is what she's actually doing. And this is just the final time something like this happened before I could take any more of it. I remember trying to fight back and not being strong enough and just leaving my body, just completely giving up on trying to stay open and really feeling both emotionally and physically, because that world that I was picking up on was so unsafe. The consequence is I developed this ego structure of being very mental, very intellectual, being the best at everything because I needed to be strong, to be capable, to be able to protect myself, to be able to put up shields against the world, which I experienced as being very savage, very unconscious. And so as this ego grew, I became kind of the friend psychologist, also the boyfriend psychologist. So there is this desire there to be understood and to be around people who are safe and regulated, and then trying to help them get there. So you can see how this, let's skip a couple of steps in between and just look at how this fundamental character building trauma leads to seeking to enlighten myself away from all of this mess, right? Which has all the negative consequences of spiritual bypassing, of not doing enough growing up, psychological development, showing up in the world, getting a freaking job and not staying at university for almost 9 years, and cleaning up, working up with my own shadows and traumas and stuff, because I was exclusively focused on the fourth up. This is Ken Wilber's model of psychospiritual development, which is waking up. that has obviously given me a certain expertise in waking up, which is good, which I can then share and be of service with. But it also comes entangled with these other less favorable personality structures. And this is not unique. It's not the only kind of spiritual teacher that's out there, but I'm very much one archetype of this, right? And so there's this deep longing to be surrounded by people who are safe, who are regulated, who understand themselves and who can understand me. Probably also a bit of the capacity to have distance by being in power, if I'm really looking into it. Yeah, that's probably there. So these are like the shadow reasons for why I want to make Yoga Church. At the same time, while these patterns are happening, I'm also, reflecting on, becoming aware of, and doing my best to purify them, to meet those needs in as healthy way as possible. And actually, I think this is, if not how things happen, then at least it's how things happen on a certain level of development. I was reflecting, I have a friend who runs a coaching group for CEOs and big money business people. And I was in his group for about a month. And this is a guy who's like stably awake, right? He's been a Zen monk for 3 years. A good guy. I like him. But I was also seeing this child that was never popular growing up, that was kind of creating an arena where he decides the rules, and there's almost like this feeling of vengeance against like the popular business jocks. But this is just one little part of it. While this is a big part of why I left that group, I can also see how what he is offering is definitely valuable to those people. And how he is still growing and developing his teaching. The reason why I bring this up is just this pattern of how our greatest ambitions and dreams, and ultimately what I think that we're meant to do here, our dharma or our ikigai, to use these kinds of terms. If they're familiar, they'll be useful to some of you. Come entangled with our deepest traumas. It actually reminds me of this tantra phrase. Which is something like these levels of development. First level is polishing the external altar, being attached to like rites and rituals and the religious part of things. Second one being forgetting about the outer stuff and really just cultivating the inner altar and just doing spiritual practice. And the third step in this model is working on both of them, seeing both as non-dual expressions of the same thing. I say, trying not to look at the slight mess on that side of the room right now. And then the fourth stage seems to break this pattern, and it is seeing your greatest flaws as your greatest strengths, or seeing your flaws as your strengths. And this is actually like the fourth stage of this particular tantric model, and it kind of makes sense in a way. But it's not until I started reflecting on the relationship with my own spiritual teaching trajectory and my own fundamental traumas, seeing that reflected in other spiritual teachers. And I think that is ultimately what it's talking about. Understanding that trauma creates like a karmic structure, which is an ego structure. And that structure can then be increasingly released and filled with light and love and awakened awareness, as much as possible at least. But the structure provides the upaya, the skillful means, the particular specializations that make this particular incarnation useful in a particular way. Ultimately, what I'm doing right now is also, well, that's the question. Is this a conscious and compassionate bringing forth of wisdom and sharing insights in a way that's useful to you, reflecting from my own personal experience into the more general and abstract? Or is this just a trauma response? Me trying to create some kind of distance to my own experience and feelings by generalizing this concept and stepping into the knower, the teacher. Probably somewhere in between. I think this particular case is pretty wholesome, but it's not always. I think when it comes to spiritual teachers like me, that's something to always be on the lookout for. Well, maybe not for you, but for me. I try to be on the lookout for when I step into trying to know, trying to understand, trying to figure out the answer ahead of time. Sometimes that's the right thing, and sometimes it's coming from not the healthiest place. And trying to be this Übermensch is also causing me to ignore my undeveloped sides. And the body's signals aren't exhaustion. And this is getting us more specifically into what's happening right now. So I'm currently towards the end of a year-long sick leave for long COVID and related burnout. It's my third burnout. It's by far the best. But that is also telling you something about where I come from. It's been pretty ugly. I say that smiling because it's not so ugly right now. But it is a bit tiring. And so I had this long period of rest after getting the sick leave in October. And I tried getting back to school again, and it just did not work. So I agreed with the doctor and psychologist that I would focus exclusively on getting back into health and building my full-time spiritual teaching gig, which gave me so much of my energy back. And then when the yoga church idea really started growing, I was getting even more energy. And then I was like, oh my God, I can make this group and make this YouTube channel. And I have all these ideas for content. I have like 20 YouTube episodes about particular spiritual phenomena that I really want to make and to share, and that I will. And I'm certainly, I'm not questioning like the core of the work that I want to do, but I am reflecting that when I got all this energy, I started using all of that energy. And especially with being like an entrepreneur and financial instability and everything being somehow partially professionally related. It's like, oh, these guys are important to meet up with. They're big players in the community, so I should attend this festival, or I should go to the free open house with Ikaya tonight. That's notification literally popped up on my phone. I'm not going. It took me a while not to go to that one because he's a big player around town. I know a lot of people who are students of his. I want to know what's going on there. But I'm just too tired. I can't do it. So I'm just coming out of this period of like 4 back-to-back retreats and festivals after like an 80-hour work week. And that was like a week and a half ago. And I've not had I've had one day where I had no other plans. And quite frankly, I just needed more. And that is why I probably won't be so active in the coming time. There's so much I want to share with you. Like, that's another weakness of this very mental, very ambitious personality structure, is starting so many things, planning a lot, and then just not having the actual incarnate ability to bring it all into realization. And so, yeah, this is what's up. Oh, and there's another fun thing, which is another reason why I've not been so active in the sort of online groups around Yoga Church, because Yoga Church was never meant to be an online concept. It's all I've had the power to do so far, so this is what I've started with. But I'm also part of this village building project. And we are, after 6 months of like building the group of like 50 adults and 10, 15 kids, and scouting for properties, looking at our principles or practices, we're finally very close to actually buying a place, buying a farm up by Gjøvik, which would then become the physical home for Yoga Church, which is the actual dream. So a lot of my energy is going into that. So hopefully, in not too long, I can invite you all to come actually stay and visit and practice together. And I probably will be doing some more physical meetups as well, but less of my attention is going towards that. So, all that is to say, my motivations for creating Yoga Church are entirely selfish and trauma-based. Here's some of the psychological shadows that I might not have been showing as clearly in a lot of these videos, because obviously I make videos when I'm in a good state, mostly. And this is why I need a little bit of a holiday. So, hope that was interesting to some of you. At least now that's clear. And another weakness of mine, I need to figure out a way to end videos more skillfully. Bye.